So, a little while ago, I did a video titled Spiritual Debt. And I talked about how Black men, one way or the other, were going to have to be held accountable for the position they took with Black women. But see, here's the thing about focusing on race. Race is not the determining factor on why issues persist. Because the truth is this: everything that I spoke about in that spiritual debt video is also going on with people of different ethnicities and cultures. Spiritual debt is essentially you receiving vengeance for whatever it is that you've done. And when you receive vengeance, it humbles the wise. Okay? Which is primarily what I said in the spiritual debt video. I may have not used these exact words, but when you get vengeance, it humbles the wise and it infuriates the less intelligent. See, if you focus all of your intelligence on what you can Google research, what you can read, no, wisdom is the determining factor on life and experience and intellect. Vengeance humbles the wise. If you're smart and you take accountability for your actions, when you receive vengeance, you allow yourself to be humbled. Only a fool will become cocky and dig their feet deeper in the sand. So when I did this spiritual debt video, around that time, I felt a shift. I felt a shift with Black men. So the rebirth, which is in the community wall, and I spoke candidly about the rebirth that I saw in Black men. But it wasn't until I started to kind of correlate the dots of that conversation, because at that point, I only saw a shift. I didn't necessarily, know in what direction this shift will be going, but I did indeed recognize the earlier signs of a shift in the behavior of Black men. And the shift that I saw was something going in a positive direction. It wasn't negative at all, what I saw. It was definitely in a positive direction. So when I saw this shift, I said, something is happening with Black men, and I think it's a good thing. And I recognized it today in conversation exactly what it was. Like earlier, when I was talking about the spiritual debt, I said, vengeance humbles the wise. And the vengeance that is rising up right now in the energy and the mindset of Black men is the spirit of the sun. And when I talk about the spirit of the sun, there's a play on words with that. The spirit of the sun is, of course, Jesus Christ, but the spirit of the sun is also an actual sun. And when I say an actual sun, I mean the heart and the sun. That son and his spirit and the betrayal of being, per se, left behind by his father is rising up right now. That spirit of the son is deep in the minds of Black men, and they are coming to seek redemption through way of their families, through way of being present for their children, because the spirit of those sons were abandoned children, abandoned little boys. And if you've ever seen a little boy be abandoned by his father, it is a lifelong struggle. It is something they never forget. Even when they reach success and you ask them, hey, how'd you do it? They always credit their moms and they say, I had this dad and I'm never going to be like that. I'm never going to be that man to my children. So when I talk about the spirit of the sons, that spirit is seeking vengeance, but in much so of a healthy way to where it is humbling to a lot of men. I stumbled across a conversation today with Charlemagne and another man through a podcast, and I want to share it with you so that you see exactly what I'm saying about the spirit of this son and how it's speaking through the mouths of Black men today. This is the rebirth I was talking about. The rebirth of that son is coming through the mouths of Black men.
I listen and it just lets me know, like, oh, you don't have a wife.
Exactly.
Oh, you don't have a family.
Yes.
So you don't understand how having kids can change
Right,
a person.
right. Or you ain't a man.
Or
You ain't the king of the castle. Or
that's
you ain't
right.
the head. You not the head. You the
That's
tail.
right. That's right.
A lot of times I can't talk to you, little, because you ain't head of household. I need to talk to head of household, and a lot of times it's your woman. So when I go to talking about how you need to uplift your woman and stand for your home and pour into your children, y'all don't get that because that's your woman job for y'all.
That's right.
Y'all
That's right.
pass that
That's
to the
right.
woman.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
right.
But as men, we got to start to uplift and say, nah, I'm pouring into the children.
That's right.
I'm pouring into the house the same way she is. That ain't
right.
just your job, that's our job.
Especially if you come from not having that.
This is the spirit of the son that I was talking about. As you heard those men speaking, they were talking about the importance of pouring into children and pouring into the household and pouring into the woman, and how they can no longer relate to men who don't have families, who don't see the importance of pouring into children. The spirit of the son is tired. The spirit of the son wants to see change. The spirit of the son doesn't want to see another lonely little boy. Another little boy waiting on those steps for his father. And this is where the rebirth of Black men is happening at. Because unfortunately, a lot of Black men grew up without their fathers. And if they did have their fathers, there was a lot of abuse or negative activity in the home that didn't give them the proper tools on how to conduct themselves as men and as adults. How many Black men do we see with the inability to carry the proper tools into each engagement and conversation and relationship and circumstance? They oftentimes seem ill-equipped, and that is because they still had a negative, like I said earlier, let's keep up with me. Vengeance humbles the wise. But see, vengeance will do damage to the unintelligent. They will become hostile. They will become bitter, and they will repeat the same patterns that they easily know. It doesn't take them long to figure it out. Broke them, but they don't have the strength or mental wherewithal to find a way to navigate through these hard circumstances and to come out victorious. Vengeance humbles the wise. That is what vengeance does to the wise. They want to make it better. They make a note. I will never be this man. This is the spirit of the son speaking. This is that little boy that was let down and confused and seemingly threw away. He is declaring and decreeing what will not be for his family. Let's listen to that clip again.
I listen and it just lets me know, like, oh, you don't have a wife.
Exactly.
Oh, you don't have a family.
Yes.
But you don't understand how having kids can change a person.
Right. Or you ain't a man.
Or
you ain't the king of the castle. Or you ain't the head. You not the head. You the tail.
Right. That's right.
A lot of times I can't talk to you, little because you ain't head of household. I need to talk to head of household, and a lot of times it's your woman. So when I go to talking about how you need to uplift your woman and stand for your home and pour into your children, y'all don't get that because that's your woman job for y'all.
That's right.
Y'all pass that to the woman.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But as men, we got to start to uplift and say, nah, I'm pouring into the children.
That's right.
I'm pouring into the house the same way she is. That ain't just your job, that's our job.
Especially if you come from not having that.
I think what we need to recognize and take notice to is what this man was saying. The second man, I don't know his name, but what this man was putting emphasis on is a lot of men. I think what this man was talking about was men providing for the home financially, but they aren't the head of the house. They aren't maintaining the emotional wealth and mental health of the people in that home, the spiritual wealth. They're not maintaining it. Yesterday on my late in the midnight hour live stream, I talked about the analogy of the whale. And the analogy of the whale is that a whale more than likely is going to die from drowning. And when you think about that, you think about a whale dying from drowning. A whale is in the water his whole life. But the fact of the matter is the whale actually has to come up to gain air to breathe. So essentially, the whale is dying a slow death his whole entire life. Imagine being put in a world that is ill-equipped for you to survive. See, essentially, this is what this man is saying, because when you don't protect the spiritual well-being, and a lot of people do not know how to protect their spiritual well-being. They don't know how to adjust and talk to Christ. This is what this man was talking about. Yeah, you providing for the home, but are you the head of the household? Because see, biblically, the world tells us we are supposed, the Bible tells us, we are in the world, but we are not to be of it, right? So just like that whale is in the world, but he can't be of it because he actually has to go up to receive air to actually even function and operate and live with a miserable existence, right? This is why that man was talking about household, because see, what do women do when we are the head of the household? We kiss all the boo-boos. We make sure our children are spiritually amplified. We make sure their mental health is okay. We're checking in with all of the things that you can't put a dollar sign on. So see, this is why that man says, I'm pouring into the children. I'm on their mental health. I'm on top of their spiritual well-being, because they are in this world, but they are not of it. And they need to know exactly what's going on to gain assistance for spiritual well-being. That is what that man was saying. I can't even talk to you because you ain't even handling your job right and effectively. I can't even talk to you. You have nothing to offer to what I'm saying. You haven't graduated there yet. See, the spirit of the son is speaking now. Everything that son wanted to say when he was too little to say it, or somebody could abuse him for saying, the spirit of the son is speaking through men that are fathers that didn't have fathers. See, that little boy did not go away. That little boy is still there seeking redemption. And this is what you are seeing is the spirit of the son. The rebirth of Black men. Let's look at some men of different ethnicities and cultures speak about an absentee father.
If you look at statistics in Australia, 52% of families end in divorce and the father is absent. So what happens is you have, say, an adolescent male who is growing up without a father figure and then turns to peers or turns to perhaps an uncle or he is searching for a masculine identity that he can follow that's close to him. And that's friends and peers and family members. And sometimes the pain, or what I call moral injury, if there was, say, some kind of domestic violence before the father left, disassembles his railguards of life.
I want y'all to hear the statistics of what that lady said in Australia for absentee fathers. This is Australia. I want to play that again.
If you look at statistics in Australia, 52% of families end in divorce and the father is absent. So what happens is you have, say, an adolescent male who is growing up without a father figure and then turns to peers or turns to perhaps an uncle or he is searching for a masculine identity that he can follow that's close to him. And that's friends and peers and family members. And sometimes the pain, or what I call moral injury, if there was, say, some kind of domestic violence before the father left, disassembles his railguards of life.
This is actually just like right on the money. But see, this is the thing about Christ. We serve a very fair God. So eventually things will be balanced out, no matter what. It may take time. Trust me, it may take time, but eventually things will be balanced because we serve a very fair God. So right now, this is why I wanted to talk about the spirit of the son and the rebirth of Black men and how everything is happening right now. And how everything is moving right now. If you're paying attention and you're not focused on hatred and you're not focused on the negative, but you focus on the stirrings. This is why I tell y'all all the time, 85% of the world is sheep, 10% are their leaders, and 5% are the people that are observing everything that's going on. And when you're observing from that 5%, you can see the stirrings. You can see the rumblings. You can see the shift of things starting to move in the right direction. You can see the justice, building itself up to be collected. And right now, what's building itself up is the spirit of the son. That spirit is dealing with men right now because that spirit is angry. I want to show you something awesome.
I want him to know that. And it's tough. It's tough talking to him.
Who's feeling resentment, you or he?
I feel resentment. I feel resentment with my father coming up because he's never been around. And when I talk to my son, I feel like he feels the same way.
Resentment towards you?
Yes.
Tell me what's going on, beloved. Can you talk about it? If I come over there, would you talk to me about it? Dad, can I come there for a moment? If you sit right there with him. Is it true that you didn't go to his recent graduation?
Yes, it's true.
You sit right there. Don't leave. You
said
that. Tell me what's going on.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Him? And how does that make you feel? What's a long time? Tell me what a long time is.
Since I was about 4.
Since you were 4. And how old are you?
13.
13. And what did you tell yourself about him when he wasn't there?
I think it was a mistake.
That you were a mistake? You feel like a mistake. Okay. And what did you feel about him when he wasn't there?
I didn't have a father.
Yeah. And have you ever talked to him about that? Okay. So Dad, turn around. Turn around. All right. What do you want him to know? Look at him. He's going to be here this time. Okay? What is it that you want him to know? Look at him. Tell him how it felt.
Horrible.
It felt horrible that you left me. Tell him.
It felt horrible that you left me.
It made me feel like I was a mistake.
Made me feel like I was a mistake.
And how did you feel about him? Tell him how you felt about it.
I loved the person that I had never seen.
And that made you feel what?
That I wasn't supposed to be here.
Now, what do you want to tell him now that he's back?
That I love him.
And?
That I want him to be here.
And tell him he doesn't get to leave you again.
You don't get to leave me again.
And to play with my heart.
To play with my heart.
I need you.
I need you.
And I want you.
And I want you.
Don't disappoint me.
Don't disappoint me.
He needs to see your vulnerability. He needs to know that you're vulnerable and that he's important and that he matters.
I'm going to be here.
But Daddy, your hurt is not his responsibility.
That is the spirit I'm talking about. The spirit of the son. What you just witnessed with that young man, that is the spirit that is redirecting, rebirthing, and shifting. That spirit, that vulnerable spirit, that hurt little boy, that is the spirit that is reshifting, redirecting, and rebirthing. And there's going to be a different mindset in a lot of Black men when it comes to women and children. It's just that it hasn't risen to the surface enough yet for women to see. You know, a lot of women are going to get so caught up in what they're being led to feel that they're going to miss the rumblings. And that's typically how it happens. Most people are led by media and by others to make people feel and adjust and feel things. They are led to feel things. They are led to be obsessed so much so that they miss the rumblings. But this is the rumblings, and the rumblings is the spirit of the son. That little boy is the spirit that is going to shift and rebirth, because we have a fair and awesome God. And nothing can be too unfair for too long before a shift happens. It is a shift. And there is a rumbling. I see it. You know, gone are the days that it is cool for you to run off on your children, not take care of your children, not provide for the mother of your children and show her respect. Gone are the days. People are sick and tired of dealing with the damage of that unbegotten son. You know, there was a lot of rage from that unbegotten son, but when you can catch the vulnerability of the spirit of the son, see, that's where change happens, because vengeance humbles the wise. Vengeance humbles the wise. And I hope that this video encourages, and you can see the rumblings. If you just was to just take your eyesight away from negativity and drama and the constant banging, you know, that Black male banging, you can see the rumblings. And I hope that you can see them. I hope that you are wise enough to allow vengeance to humble you, to open your eyes, to see the rumblings of what is occurring to what is like seemingly beneath the surface, but it's not. So God bless you. Everyone enjoy your day, enjoy your evening. I'm going to wrap this video up. I just wanted y'all to pay attention to the rebirth that is happening. It is an early stage of it. A very early stage, but it is happening. God bless you. Everybody enjoy your evening. Be easy. This is Woman Sphere. Good night.
I always wanted to do better than anyone else. Always.
You don't have most of the usual excuses. You didn't grow up in the projects. You had a very strong mother. Your biological father is
absent.
an
Missing in
NFL
action.
an NFL football player.
But yeah, I hear
Your godfather's Ray Charles.
Yeah. But while my mother's at work being a working class woman, while my father was on the football field, while Ray was in the recording studio, I was in the street. You know what I mean? I was being influenced by social forces that they couldn't even touch, couldn't even understand. And my mother couldn't protect me from that. Ray couldn't come get me all the time. And Dick never came. But, you know what I mean? So,
Do you resent that?
To a great extent, no doubt about it. I hate him. You know what I mean? I hate him because I think about what I could have been, you know? And I can't dig that, man. Like, running out of your kids, you know? You know, father thing, man. But that's just heavy to me now, you know? That's just heavy.
Would it have made a difference, do you think?
Yeah, because I wouldn't have to go to the street to find the street people, you know? To find, you know, people in the street, you know?